Well, I think the big thing about classical music and its kind of current, well, not current, but historical state of kind of disconnection from the mainstream of society is not really anything to do with music, the music itself. Hi, this is Max Richter. We're going to talk about my new album, the new Four Seasons Recomposed, and classical music. When I made the original Recomposed, the Four Seasons, 10 years ago now, we used like modern instruments, you know, modern synthesizer, modern violins and string instruments. But I always wondered what would it be like to record this music with the instruments of Vivaldi's own time. So the new recording is the same notes on the page that I made for Recomposed 10 years ago, but it is played by an orchestra who are using the instruments of Vivaldi's time. So Baroque instruments with gut strings, not metal strings, and the lighter Baroque bow. And the electronic music in this new recording is made from like vintage synthesizers. So it's like the equivalent of the old violins, the old synthesizer. And it has this kind of grittier texture. It has this more, in a way, like it's more emotional, it's more direct, the sound. It's a little bit punkier. It's like, you know, the kind of intense music is more intense. And the sort of tender music is like more tender. You know, it's just a different kind of set of colors. It's like the modern instruments are like smooth peanut butter, and the Baroque instruments are like crunchy peanut butter, right? So I think that sort of tells you, it does tell you a lot about how it is, how it's different. I don't see this new recording as replacing the old one. It's really just like walking around a statue and looking at it from a different angle. We chose the instrumentation and the exact, you know, bows and all of this stuff really with a kind of a voyage of discovery with the players. I worked with this wonderful orchestra, Cinque, which is a very multi-ethnic, young orchestra, kind of an experiment in itself. In a musical experiment, also a social experiment, and a kind of a vision for how classical music performance can evolve. So Cinque is the orchestra of the future in a way, and they were really interested in exploring this kind of language with me. So it was a perfect project to work with them. Well, I think the big thing about classical music and its kind of current, well, not current, but historical state of kind of disconnection from the mainstream of society is not really anything to do with music, the music itself. It's to do with all the social barriers around it, you know? Concert hall rituals, orchestras with high ticket prices, the idea that you had to be kind of rich and white and old to kind of be part of that club. All of that gets in the way, really. You know, if you put a bunch of 5-year-old kids in a room with an orchestra, they freak out. They're like, this is the most amazing thing ever. But then society kind of puts all kinds of rules in the way. You know, you can only listen to it like this, you're not allowed to clap, you know, between movements or whatever it is, you know, all this crazy stuff. And these are the things which I think have got in the way, and they are evaporating. Those barriers are evaporating, and they have evaporated in a lot of ways, and that's great. It's just a time thing, you know. People are now listening more widely than they ever have. You know, people listen to jazz and rock and hip hop and classical music, all these different things. There isn't this kind of genre listening, you know, I'm only into this. And streaming has really allowed that to happen. And, you know, people, they fall in love with things, they listen to them, and it doesn't matter where it comes from. And there's a lot to fall in love with in classical music.